Hey guys, happy Sunday. Welcome back to Speaking 360. What are we going to be talking about today then? Well, we're going to be talking about something that's fundamental to all personal growth, really. We're going to be talking about goals and specifically the effect that having goals has on our life, how it introduces order into our lives. Because if you think about it, we've got a choice, haven't we? Each day we can decide whether we're going to follow our emotions and we're going to just do whatever it is that we feel like doing. We can do that. Or we can choose to do something more goal orientated. We can choose to go after something that's important to us. So we either follow our emotions or we follow our values or the things that we've decided in advance are important to us. And if we just follow our emotions, what happens? Well, we do what we feel like doing, which means that 1 minute we're going to want to do one thing, next minute we're going to want to do something else, and we kind of pull in all different directions all throughout the day, just doing whatever it is that we want to do and not doing anything we don't want to do. So these A's represent the different kind of actions that we might get involved in each day, going in this direction, this direction, this direction, this direction. And you can see over the day, it doesn't really add up to anything because everything's kind of cancelling itself out. But if we can introduce a goal or an objective, a target that we want to hit, something that we want to do that day, then it begins to change the things that we do. Some of the things that are not in harmony with that, we just stop doing. Some of them that are obviously going to take us in different directions, we're no longer so interested in them anymore, and they kind of fall away. And then more and more of the things that we're doing align with the goal that we've decided we want to achieve. And so there's order introduced into our day because there's something we want to achieve. And like, how many times have you found this works? It's when you're going on holiday, you're going away on a vacation, and then normally you're all over the place, very disorganized. But when it's a vacation, suddenly you're planned and everything's sorted out and everything's ready, and you achieve so much, don't you, that day that you're off to your vacation? Or like for some of you, when you're getting married, or some big goal like that that's important to you, suddenly you become super organized. All of these goals and all of this order introduced into your well, not just days, weeks sometimes, isn't it? So we introduce this order, we get stuff done, we're very effective. So we go from this kind of confusion where we're doing just whatever it is that we want to do to order, where everything's, well, not everything, but many more of our activities, and not just our actions, but our thinking and our feelings as well. There's more order with what we're thinking, feeling, and doing. Because if you think about it, the problem is, no one has enough time, do they? Some people seem to get a lot done. Some people don't seem to get very much done at all. But it's a fact. We all get the same 24 hours in the day, don't we? No one gets any more time. We all get the same time. It's just some people are much more effective with it, aren't they? They seem to get much more done. And so it's focusing in on the most important things that really makes the difference. Well, how do you know what the most important things are? Well, you've got to have some kind of goal, don't you? You've got to have some kind of goal. So goals introduce order into our lives. But interestingly, the next kind of step of this really is that the bigger the goal, then the more order that we introduce. So goals can be from like 1 minute or 5 minutes in length or 30 minutes or an hour. I'm going to do this for the next hour or for the day. Or they can be for the week or the month or the year or the decade or a lifetime, can't they? They can be all of those things, short-term goals and longer-term goals. It's up to us. But the longer-term goals introduce order over a longer period of time. Think about it. If this is one day and you set, let's say, a goal that takes you a day, then your actions are kind of aligned, your thinking is aligned, you're pursuing that goal for that particular day. And then the next day, maybe it's something different. There's no correlation between the two. They're not linked. I'm going to set this goal today and this goal tomorrow. And there's nothing wrong with that, of course, but you're introducing order for each day. And by the time you get to the end of the week, then the days look as confusing as the actions did within the day. So on one day you're pulling in this direction, next day you're going in this direction, next day in this direction, next day in this direction. So there's much more order, but from day to day it still doesn't achieve anything that meaningful. So how do we tie these together? And that's what people talk about, finding their purpose. Finding their purpose. If you can find your purpose, then it tends to span over weeks, months, years, a lifetime, doesn't it? Some people work towards the same things for a long period of time, and so their days are all kind of moving in the same direction. So there's much more order for a longer period of time. That's why this quote, I love this, by Mark Twain, so powerful. The two most important days in your life are what? Well, the day you're born, yep, that's important. And the day you find out why. John Maxwell talks about this a lot. The day you're born and the day you find out why. Now, but for years I've been sharing this type of message with people, and whenever you talk about purpose, what happens? Many people start freaking out. Well, I don't know what my purpose is. It's all right. It's okay for you. You know what it is you want to do. I'm just not that lucky. And so what do? Nothing. Because they haven't got that purpose. So now, as soon as my purpose drops in my lap, and I'm as lucky as you, then I'll get busy. Then you'll be amazed at what I achieve when I start really working. But I don't know what it is yet. This is, you may be thinking exactly this. What do I want? I don't know what I want. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Does that sound familiar? Well, you're in good company I think many people, it doesn't matter how old you are, most of us don't know what we were going to be when we grow up. But that's no reason to do nothing. Look at this great quote from Peter Drucker. I love this. One of my favorites on this topic. He said, only musicians, mathematicians, and a few early maturing people, their numbers very limited, know from an early age what they want to be when they grow up, what they want to do. Only musicians, mathematicians, they're the ones that we kind of think, yeah, I'm sure they're gifted in those particular areas, so it seems obvious, doesn't it? Only musicians, mathematicians, and a few early maturing people, their numbers very limited, know from an early age what they want to be when they grow up. The rest of us have to find out. Write that down. I love it. It's so good. The rest of us have to find out. Most people don't know what they were going to be when they grow up. But that's no excuse to do nothing. You've got to experiment. You've got to go out and live and find out. Live life, find out what you like and find out what you don't like. That's how we find our purpose, isn't it? By taking part and experimenting. It's not going to plop in our lap. We've got to go and find out. Now, John Maxwell gives us some great advice as to how to find our purpose, actually. He says, well, where do you start? You start with what you're interested in, because it's highly likely there's a tight correlation between where your interests lie and what it is you're going to end up doing, what you're here to do, if you like. What am I supposed to do? What am I going to be when I grow up? They're all kind of talking about the same thing, aren't they? So look for your interests. Your interests then are what? They're going to lead you towards your gifts. A subset of what you're interested in is going to be the things that you're really good at, your gifts and talents. And that is going to lead you to your passion, what you're really passionate about. And then that's going to lead you to your purpose. So if you don't know where to start with what you're interested in. That's going to lead you to what you're good at. And those gifts still need to be developed, of course, but that's going to lead you to be more and more passionate, and that's going to lead you to your purpose. And you probably discover it in a period of time. And if you don't, that's okay. Just keep setting smaller goals in the meantime. Keep living and experimenting and growing. And this is the same for all of us. It really is. I love this. John wrote a book called Talent is Never Enough. And there's this a myth, I suppose, that we think, well, if I had the talent of some of those people who were really talented, of course I'd be as successful as them, but I just wasn't born with those talents. Well, one of probably the most talented people that we can comes to mind, an all-rounder, would be Michelangelo. Many people say, oh yeah, he was unbelievable, Michelangelo. Look what he was able to do. Look at his mastery. And he said, well, if you just knew how hard I worked, it wouldn't seem so wonderful then. If you just knew how hard I worked to get my mastery, it wouldn't seem so wonderful at all. And this is the statue of David. Some of you will recognize it, the statue of David, which is a huge, great big statue, apparently. I've never seen it. I'd love to see it, actually. I think it's like 13 feet tall or something. So this huge statue, very, very wonderful, absolutely exceptional piece of work that years later we're still talking about. So it's all right for him, you might say. It's all right for Michelangelo because he's incredibly talented. Everything he touches turns to gold. He picks up a hammer and a chisel and he knocks out David. And, he's just so talented. He's just so lucky to have those gifts. Interesting thing is, and I didn't realize this until I saw this in another one of John's books, actually. Michelangelo started on 44 different statues. 44 different statues he started on. And 14 of them were finished. So even Michelangelo, 30 of them he gave up on. So presumably at some point he's kind of working away and he's working on this statue and he's like, this is going to be a bit more difficult than I thought. I think I'll go off and do something else. And he abandoned it. And there's a museum, I think, for them in in Italy for the unfinished works that he gave up on. So he only finished 14 of the 44. More, twice as many are unfinished as finished. That kind of sounds like the rest of us, doesn't it? If we kind of keep moving. So like 1 out of 3 hit rate. Now they're exceptional, of course, and 2 of them particularly are really, really well known. I think is it the one of Moses and the one of David that most people know, the statue of David. But even Michelangelo, he kind of moved on and thought, this is too difficult. I'm giving up on this one. So where do we start then? I think that's the key, isn't it? We just got to start. We've got to start where we are. You want to find your purpose, or you want to set goals, or you want to introduce more order into your life. You just got to start where you are. And this is one of my favourite quotes from Buckminster Fuller. How often I found where I should be going only by setting out for somewhere else. So we got to get moving. We got to get moving. We can't procrastinate. We can't sit back and wait for it to pop in our lap. We've got to get busy. Set out with whatever information we have, whatever tools we have, whatever enthusiasm, motivations we have, whatever goals we have. Set those goals, set out, and we'll set bigger and better goals as we go, but we got to get moving. How often I found where I should be going only by setting out for somewhere else. So don't get freaked out. In my estimation, probably more people struggle with purpose than think that they found it, that I work with or speak to. And that's okay. Just set goals in the meantime. Don't allow it to stop you. So move forward from where you are. It's about growth, really, isn't it? Whether it's a purpose or a goal, it's about us developing ourselves and growing. And then as we grow, everything gets easier. If we're growing today, tomorrow's going to be better. If we're growing today, then the things that bother us today are not going to bother us tomorrow, but only if we're growing. And it's the goals that kind of entice us forward and help us grow, isn't it? I'll leave you with one more quote on this idea, on this topic generally, from John Maxwell. We always have fun with John. This was from a couple of years ago, and one of the things he said when he was on stage in that International Maxwell certification was he said, it was one of his Sunday services actually, to give anything less than your best is to sacrifice that gift. To give anything less than your best is to sacrifice that gift. Isn't that brilliant? I love it. To give anything less than your best. So we've got to do our best. It doesn't matter whether that's good enough, because we're going to keep growing, but our responsibility is to do our best. And I think that's a great question to ask yourself after you've done anything. Did I do my best? If not, why not? Can I do better next time? And then forgive yourself, of course. Don't beat yourself up, but forgive yourself, and then move on to the next one and try and do your best. So to do anything less than that, whether we achieve it or not, just our responsibility is to do our best. And if we do anything less than our best, then we sacrifice that gift. Love it. Great stuff. Okay, that's it for this week. So we'd love it if you'd like the videos, as I say every week. Love it if you comment on what you like so we can do more. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done already. And if you want to share the link with somebody else, then it's real simple. It's just speaking360.com, and they can get an email every week like you if you're watching this from the email. Or if you're watching on YouTube and you want the email each week, then you can go to speaking360.com, pop your email in, and then you get the email each week. That's it for this week. I'll see you next week. Thanks for being a part of Speaking 360, the best part of Speaking 360. Take care. Enjoy what's left of your weekend, and see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye. God bless.